So we're going to be going over Nvidia stock today, guys. A couple of things that I really want to break down. This stock has been on an absolute tear since really I started investing in it back in 2021. I was working solar and I was a kind of blue collar at the time. It was 2021 and it was December. It's when I started investing and was a little discouraged, but we held it for quite a long time. And over in our Schwab portfolio, we've been doing well with Nvidia. Nvidia is one of those stocks that we've seen on a tremendous uptrend the past few weeks. When we look at Nvidia stock, we see this consistent uptrend and then selling off in October. And this EMA, it was really acting as resistance. It sold off. We saw it report positive earnings. However, just after hours today, we had it surge. And you guys know I like to also look at NVDL, which is our 2x Nvidia stock. So essentially, if you buy this stock and Nvidia goes up by 5%, this stock will go up by 10%. You can see that here. Nvidia ended the day here Friday up 4.93%, and NVDL, which is that inverse, they ended up 9.93% right on the day. Now, what we see is that it pushed up significantly after hours. Why is it that we saw Nvidia have such a monster push up here? And really validation that this support that we identified, let's look on the 3-month. We identified this support. We saw higher lows consistently bouncing. If I mark up the what is clearly a resistance as well, you could see there, then yeah, it's looking like it's got a consistent uptrend. But here, this is what happened here. I was looking at Nvidia stock. Something that just happened is that we saw it replace Intel in the Dow. So what happens when we see it replace Intel? It's the same thing that happens when you see a company added to the S&P 500, right? You're going to see more exposure. More people are going to be finding it as a stable, more certain and less risky stock. And so you can see that with Nvidia replacing Intel. Intel was up 7.8% on the day. It had a good day regardless. But it joined the Dow exactly 25 years ago, according to Dow Jones market data. But the company has seen its status as a semiconductor powerhouse fade, as it hasn't kept pace with the latest trends. It's really similar to what we saw actually over here on AMD. As you guys know, we had an AMD position earlier this week, and kind of the same thing happened. We had a lot of people say, hey, AMD had positive earnings, but they sold off aggressively this week. And a lot of people were saying, Nvidia has such a competitive advantage that you might not see them as a powerhouse. You might not see AMD as a powerhouse. And so the company's struggles have been on full display. This is Intel, with Intel forced to take nearly 19 billion in restructuring charges during the latest quarter, as it seeks to right itself. So it's got some other problems. The company has missed the boat thus far on artificial intelligence. Management admitted Thursday that the company wouldn't hit its 500 million annual forecast. Oh man, I'm sneezing because you have Nvidia really just blessing the investors, right? That's what we got going on here. So what does that mean? Nvidia, it's at that support. We just identified it, pushed up from the support. And I see, them and Palantir and Tesla. I have a really, really simple watch list this week. We went over the top 5 AI powerhouses. We went over Google. We went over Amazon. We went over Nvidia. We went over Tesla and Apple. But we're keeping it really simple. As you can see this week, really what I'm focusing on for this next week as market opens on Monday. And by the way, on Monday, if you want to be there at market open live, watch me trade live in these tech and AI stocks. And it's recently launched Stockmate. So we just launched Stockmate this past October, at the end of October. So there's a limited time. We have a $200 off coupon code and a second link in the description to get started. And if you get started, you get 70 plus lessons. You get access to multiple resources, including our StockMate picks, detailed analysis of each tech and AI stock in the industry. So we have these really as our mapped out stocks. And when it comes down to what we were analyzing in StockMate this week, we took a look at Palantir, right? Technically, they're looking good. Fundamentally, they're looking good. And we see that they're at the support. They're absolutely looking like they're below a premium price down here to 40. We saw them sell off aggressively, as we saw with most tech. And elections can be a shaky time, especially with the job reports being lower than expected year over year. But there's a couple things you have to look at, right? We have a support here that's quite clear that it's retesting, and that if it pushed up above this EMA and this SMA, then we could see it continue its upward direction. We're also seeing that on the MACD and on the RSI, we are a little bit oversold recently, and it's now balancing out a little bit of consolidation. And now it's kind of, we're going to see it determine its direction, whether or not we start to see it confirm this uptrend. You really want to identify whether or not it breaks above, or if we see it, maybe break below the support. But it's clearly identified, and it's clearly looking like a bull play for the AI and tech industry. So we're going to be keeping an eye on it as well. I'll also be keeping a look at Tesla this week. But I just wanted to break down Nvidia. We saw a big move this week. Hopefully that was helpful for you guys to really kind of see the overall direction, as well as Tesla. We didn't really go too deep into it, but we saw it sell off after the robo-taxi event. We saw it push up after crushing its earnings. Not really its earnings, but more its gross margins. Being able to make their cars for less, meaning that they can capitalize on more profits because they're not spending so much money to make their cars. And then we also saw Optimus. Of course, they have some of the most technologically advanced technologies that we see come out. The advancements in AI are going to be a direct result of space innovation. What companies, we saw the biggest increase in innovation in the United States when they were launching to the moon, right? And that was, we're talking about the late 60s, right, into the 70s. But what is going on? You have SpaceX, you have Tesla, you got Starlink, you got so many advantages in Tesla that we could see some those technological advancements. To me, just makes sense as a sound investment for Tesla, especially when we look on the 5-year. I mean, we're at previous levels that we were at back in 2020 of December. Wouldn't it make sense that we'd see it push back up to at least some of the levels that we saw in 2021? I mean, when we're looking at Tesla as a company, there's just so much potential for it to really increase in value. And if we look at the all-time, I mean, it's not to say we couldn't see it push above previous past highs, which would be in the $500 range. There's $1,000 bull cases, but I'm just saying, like, even if we see it push up, to what could be expected with TSLL, to the previous levels here, if we see it push up just to where it was earlier this year, we could be looking at about a 40% increase on TSLL. And over here, it's just looking pretty bullish for Tesla. Hopefully it's helpful, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in our Sunday stock talk this week. If you guys want to tune in live, make sure to subscribe. If I earned your thumbs up, hit that like button. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.